happened with my PlayStation, so that's poopy. Um, but yes, so Lord of the Rings was what really inspired me to start my uh, getting into filmmaking. Star Wars, like every time I watch it, it makes me want to start writing some fan fiction. Really
It
immerse
says
myself in that world, and
it says waiting for emotional.
oh, it does.
Okay, there we go. She's working.
Okay,
Okay.
so I apologize again, and uh, yeah. So Lord of the Rings, and then Star Wars, and then the other uh, movie that inspires me uh, to do films is the Dead Poets Society. And
Ooh, that's a good one.
yeah, it's I, I really like movies based around school as well. Freedom Writers is another really good movie that's based around being in school and stuff. And but Dead Poet Society really inspires me, and the whole thing of like Robin Williams' character using carpe diem, seize the day, uh, makes me it makes me really want to be not really like take the time for granted, and to get stuff done, which really I ought to go watch that movie again right now being in quarantine because I have been getting nothing done. So
Speaking of Dead Poet Society, one of my favorite episodes so far of Community is the episode with that professor where he thinks he's Robin Williams and and he's like, "Seize the day, go fly a kite, go kiss a
yes.
girl." That guy cracked me up. I immediately thought of, I immediately thought of like I just like thought of Armstrong. I was like, man, like this is like a poor man's Armstrong. I was like, what the heck? But man, but yeah, Dead Poet Society is really good.
Yeah. Gosh, I
But
Community is so good too.
it's so I'm telling you, it's better than The Office. But
Yeah.
anyways, back on track.
Yeah, so those are my inspiring movies. So what are yours?
For me, obviously Star Wars. Um, that's the big one. It's like it's interesting because it's interesting because you don't really like whenever you watch Star Wars, you kind of you don't really know the story behind it. You're just kind of you watch it and you're just so enthralled into the world that you don't even think about the filmmaking. But like I remember when I first got Disney Plus, one of the first things I watched was the documentary like Empire of Dreams, and you just I think that like deepened my love for the original trilogy, but it also made me think. I was like, okay, well, the first Star Wars movie was pretty much just an independent film that just somehow, like some chance, just made it big, and it's very inspiring to me because I mean they had to really work hard. The movie got
Yeah.
delayed, and a lot of crap happened, but that's the big one. My other one is the first Rocky, kind of more of like the story behind it, because like if you
Yeah.
don't know, like Sylvester Stallone like had to move to LA, and uh, he lived in a really crappy apartment, and like he would call acting agencies every day like out of the phone book, and he would like switch them up. So at the end of like when he got to the bottom of the list of the acting agents, he would go back to the top of the list and do it all again, and he would like lie. He would make up these stories. He's like, oh yeah, I just got finished filming this movie in England. There's I can't show you any footage of it, but and like he had, and like there's also this story which is a quick tangent. I don't know where I read it, but like Sylvester Stallone tried out for Han Solo,
Oh yeah.
and George Lucas hated him because of his, because like if you hear like the way Sylvester Stallone talks, like he doesn't sound his voice, like his tone of voice is very deep and very mellow, and like like for one reason or another George Lucas just hated him. And anyways, but just Sylvester Stallone's story and how he mimics that's how Sylvester Stallone's story mimics Rocky Balboa's, I think is very inspiring to me. And
Definitely.
yeah, that like Star Wars Rocky, and then the next one that I think would also be the most inspiring, it's gonna be a really cheesy answer, but the Citizen Kane, just knowing the story of Orson Welles, because like if you don't know, you know War of the Worlds, like the radio broadcast that made people think that there was like an actual alien invasion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Orson Welles, and um, the story of Orson Welles is that like he went to like acting, like he was like a huge actor with the Mercury Theater Group, and I think it was New York. And after he did War of the Worlds, Hollywood, like I wasn't like Hollywood as a whole, but like I don't remember what movie studio called him and was like, hey, how would you like to make a movie? And he was like, okay, yeah. So he took his theater troupe, went to California, and he wrote and directed and starred in Citizen Kane. And it's considered the best movie of all time. Like I
Yeah.
just think that is absolutely inspiring, because he just pranked America, and then they're like, oh man, this guy should make movies, and they just were like, all right, make what you want. And then he did, and it turned out to be the best movie, like one of the most highly considered movies of all time. But then like it's kind of sad because like after that they only compared him to Citizen Kane no matter what he made, or but I think that's very inspiring to me, just because he pranked America and then got away with it and made like a movie that's considered the greatest of all time. I don't know. I think it's very inspiring to me because I think it's a very funny story. But yeah.
uh,
Do you want to go on to my next question?
Absolutely.
All right. What is your favorite quote from a movie?
My favorite quote. Okay. Um, it's from Rocky Balboa, and it's
Mhm.
during his monologue where he's talking to his son. And the gist of it is nobody's going to hit as hard as life, but it ain't about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep going. It's how much you can
Mhm.
take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. And if that is not inspirational, I don't know what is. So,
That's what I also have written down is that monologue. It's amazing.
it
Like
is.
besides the first Rocky, that is the one that makes me cry. Like Rocky Balboa makes me cry. Like no matter what mood I am, whenever I watch it, like I will cry
Hmm.
because it's just so powerful.
It really is.
But it's really great. But that yeah, that's what I had written down too, because like not only is it like it can literally apply to anybody. It's not just about boxing, you
Yeah.
know. But
Great minds think
I'm trying
alike. So,
I'm trying to think of another quote that I love.
my other quote is we're going to need a bigger boat from Jaws. So.
Oh my gosh. Um, um, oh, my favorite interactions is in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, when and there's like a note, and Clint Eastwood picks it up, and at the end of it, at the end of the note, it calls the person stupid, and he looks at it, he says, "Ah, it's signed for stupid. It's for you." And he hands it to the Mexican guy, but that like Clint Eastwood has like a really interesting way of like delivering really funny lines, like in I think it's Fistful of Dollars, whenever he enters the town and like there's the coffin maker,
Yeah, I'm
and he's
gonna
like,
need another
I
coffin.
need you to make I'm gonna need you to make 4 coffins, and then he goes and he shoots 5 of them. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna need 5 coffins. I don't know why, but that always makes me laugh. But
Yeah.
but yeah. Um,
The
do
next
you want to go
question.
on the next question? Okay, what is your favorite performance from an actor?
Um, Adam Driver in Marriage Story.
That's what I've written too.
Oh my goodness. It's so good, and like I genuinely feel bad for his character. And
Hmm.
like I also feel bad for Scarlett Johansson's character, but not to the same extent that I do for Adam Driver. I don't know, like you said, it's really hard to pick sides, but when I think about picking sides, I always pick Adam Driver's side, just because
Hmm.
I feel worse for his character, and he does such a great job acting in that, and Scarlett Johansson does too. They're both really amazing. Um, but yeah,
I think his performance in Marriage Story is better than in like Star Wars
oh yeah,
or
for sure.
anything else that I've seen him in. Uh, but I mean, it's his he does like he cheated on his wife, so
Yeah,
like you kind of like sympathize with Scarlett Johansson more, but like just because he wants it to happen so bad. He wants the family to get back together. He wants them to go back to New York, and it's just heartbreaking to watch him. And I think the very last scene, whenever he's reading the note, because his son found it, and his voice breaks. Oh my
yes,
gosh, that killed me. Oh my gosh.
that movie
But
is very good. It was really tough for me not to put it on my top 10.
mhm. It's so good. But my other really like favorite performance is Paul Newman in Cool Hand Luke. Like I had talked about this earlier, but just to uh just to like because he adds like a weird distant depth to him, and I don't really know how to describe it. Like every time I watch it, my eyes are just glued to him. I don't know why. He's just so fascinating to watch, and I honestly don't really know how to explain it because he's just his calm, cool collectedness is just so interesting to watch. I don't really know a better way to describe it, but
Yeah,
yeah, that's got to be one of my favorites. But
yeah. Another
uh,
one for that, uh, for me would be Ian McKellen as Gandalf. Like,
oh, that's timeless.
yeah.
Hmm.
So,
A, Another one for me would be Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man
yeah,
because he doesn't he improves the character of Tony Stark, because in the comic books before Robert Downey Jr., Tony Stark is just a jerk. He's just like a smart jerk. He's not funny or witty or anything, and he's not very fun to read or watch interact with other people. But Robert Downey Jr. brings a new depth. Like you can tell that like especially in the first Iron Man, like and you learn this later on, but like how he had a bad relationship with his father. Like you feel that through Robert Downey Jr.'s performance, and like he makes him funny, he makes him charismatic. Whereas in the comic books, he's not that. He's just a jerk who's really smart, and he's one of the few comic book performances that makes the character better.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's definitely going to be remembered as one of the greatest performances, I think, of the decade.
Yeah.
But anyways, what is your favorite like whenever you watch a movie and like you see the name on the credits or the poster, what actor are you always the most excited to see?
Um. So this is just like our favorite actors and actresses, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Um. Adam Driver, Ian McGregor, Robin Williams, Sean Astin as well,
Oh yeah.
Scarlett Johansson, Emma Watson, and Anne Hathaway.
That's like that's a really good list because they all are like esteemed great actors.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it's Adam Driver, Sylvester Stallone. I'm always intrigued to see Tom Holland because I feel like he doesn't like. I feel like he's kind of being typecasted. Like when I was watching Onward earlier, he's very much acting more like Peter Parker because he like stutters a lot and I don't know, like. And also he's just interesting to watch, especially like in the Heart of the Sea, which is like one of like the first big movies he was in,
Oh
and
yeah.
he was in the movie with Chris Hemsworth, and that's how they met. And like watching him in that is very interesting. He's like very intriguing to watch on screen. Uh, but yeah, also I really enjoy Harrison Ford because like I really like his performance as Han Solo, Indiana Jones, and like Deckard from Blade Runner. But I mean, like I don't think I've seen anything else that he's been in. But but like yeah, I think Scarlett Johansson, just because of Marriage Story, like Black Widow, she does a great job. Like
Mm-hmm.
don't get me wrong, but like whenever you watch Scarlett Johansson, like I feel like that is the performance that defines her as an actress,
Uh,
if that makes sense.
and then she's also in The
But
Prestige, um,
ooh,
which.
that's also a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like it wouldn't be in top 10, but it would definitely be like in top 15
Yeah.
of like my favorite movies. But all right, do you want to go on to the next question?
Absolutely.
Okay, I think the next one is it most overrated movie?
Um. I don't know.
For those of you watching, we prepared this list in advance so we would have stuff to talk about. Uh, do you want to just go on to like only like 5 movies for the rest of your life?
Um. Yeah, I have that down.
Okay.
So the first movie would be Star Wars: A New Hope, obviously, and then the
Yeah.
second one would be Return of the King, again. Um, then I also have the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, Rocky IV, and the first Jim Henson Ninja Turtles movie.
Uh, for the only 5 more movies for the rest of your life, I have Cool Hand Luke and Star Wars, you know. And then I have Dead Poet Society, Rocky, and then the Kill Bill movies. Because like with Star Wars you have that sci-fi fantasy, and then with like Kill Bill you also have like the comic book western vibe, and then with Rocky you just have uplifting, inspiring sports movies. And
Yeah.
I have like a weird affinity for sports movies, even though they're usually very predictable. And then like Dead Poet Society is just great.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, that's a solid list. Next question.
Uh, like, is it the top, like the 5 movies do you think everyone should see?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, let's do that one because I feel like that's a different list for me.
yeah, it definitely is for me too.
But okay, do you want to start?
Okay, sure. The first one I have on that list is Dead Poet Society, just because of how inspiring it is.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like everybody needs to watch that movie, and especially with the message that it tells as well. It's it's definitely one of those movies that I think everybody needs to see. The second one on that list is Saving Private Ryan, just so that
Mm-hmm.
people can really get a feel of what it was like uh, for the soldiers back during World War II. Um, and then the third one is Rocky, and then the fourth one is Star Wars, and number five is Shawshank Redemption.
My top 5 that I think everyone should watch. I think everyone should at least watch Star Wars: A New Hope at least once because I think it is such a great movie. But Star Wars, Rocky. Uh, I have Silence written down,
That's a good
although
one.
I don't think it's a movie for every like I don't think everyone would like it, but I feel like definitely people need to watch it
Uh huh.
because I like when people talk about Martin Scorsese, I never hear them talk about uh Silence. And
That
it's
would have
such like
that
an
would have made my top 10 list if I had seen it all the way through, but
mhm,
because we were up so late and I fell asleep that night when we were watching it,
mhm.
uh, and I missed like a a few minutes of it. I wasn't gonna put it on the top 10, but if I had seen the entire thing, it would have made my top 10. I'm pretty sure.
But like it's such like a deep moving like movie about perseverance and faith, and it's definitely a very intense movie. And
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think everyone is that that's my number 3 pick, right?
I think so.
Because Star Wars, Rocky, and then that.
Yeah.
Okay, the fourth one that I feel like everyone should watch is Marriage Story,
Mhm.
just so like because like whenever you watch movies like that, you only think of one perspective because you want to take sides so bad. But just to kind of like look and watch these two people and how they're divided and just about divorce, I think that's also I think it's something that more people should watch. But my number 5 is the movie Citizen Kane, just so people like understand like how far it has come. But you also need to watch that movie kind of like with a history lesson in plan, because that movie, like the reason why it's like, oh, this is the best movie of all time, is just because of how revolutionary it was,
Mhm.
and just the way scenes are framed and how important the camera is in perspective to the actors. But also, I think it's actually a movie that I watched with my dad, and he actually he enjoyed it. Like it's actually a very well-paced movie, but considering the time that it was made, and it was actually like a movie that I think we watched together on New Year's Eve, and it's a very easy movie to watch because it is so well paced. But there's also like some like deeper meaning behind it of like lost childhood and stuff. But yeah, I think it's a movie everyone should watch. But anyways,
Um,
I don't remember any of the other questions.
it was favorite directors. I'm pretty sure was another one.
Okay, yeah. Do you want to start with that?
Uh, you go ahead and start.
Okay, some of my favorite directors, Edgar Wright. I kind of talked about this earlier when I talked about Scott Pilgrim,
Mhm.
but he just has such a fresh perspective because he is a little bit younger. Actually, I don't know how old he is, but I think I wanted to put one of his movies on my list, and I had a hard time choosing between Scott Pilgrim and Baby Driver,
Yeah.
because Baby Driver is as actually I think one of, like, it would literally be peak 11 if it was like a top 15, but because that movie has such great music and it's synced up with the actions of the characters, which is something that I always look for whenever I'm watching a movie. And there's this amazing scene, and it's one of the first scenes where they do opening credits in the movie, and Baby is like dancing and listening to music as he's walking to the coffee shop. And you can see in the background it'll be like directed by Edgar Wright, but it'll be like a sign or graffiti,
Oh,
and
that's
it's
cool.
amazing. And it like, or like, and the lyrics sync up, like the graffiti and the signs will have the lyrics to the song, so you're just watching Baby, but you're also watching the background because the lyrics match up with what's written on the wall. And it's like such a rush of adrenaline every time I watch one of his
Oof.
movies. Like Shaun of the Dead is hilarious, and it's really funny now because like we're in a quarantine, and there's this meme. Like one of the bits in the movie is like the main guy, the main character Sean. He's like, once he lives his like sheltered life, and like he doesn't want to like overstep his boundaries and try anything new. And so every time he goes out with his girlfriend, he's like, "Oh, let's go down to the Winchester," which is like a pub, and this zombie apocalypse is happening, and he's talking about like what he's gonna do. And then at the end of every like plane he talks about, he's like, "Oh yeah, and we'll all go down to the Winchester and have a drink," because like like that is like what he goes to whenever he's in trouble. But yeah, I think Edgar Wright is definitely like, I don't, he might be my favorite director just because every time I watch his movies I just feel so refreshed.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Um, is that the only one you have on that, or do you have
I
another?
also I mean I can keep talking. I have a couple that I really enjoy.
Go
I
for it.
really enjoy Noah Baumbach because
Uh huh.
after I watched Marriage Story, they actually put quite a few of his movies on Netflix after Marriage Story came out. And what and he has such a and like his movies are well paced, and but they know when, like, what scenes need to be taken slower and more time needs to be taken on like a particular character or shot or interaction. And one of my favorite movies that he's directed is this movie called Francis Ha, and he wrote it with Greta Gerwig.
Yeah.
And it's about, I think I've talked about it with you before, but it's about like this girl. She's like in her late 20s and she lives in New York and she wants to be a dancer and all that stuff. But just just the way, I don't know how he picks his actors, but like all of the actors in his movies are, they just act so much like real life people, and the dialogue is always so like on point and realistic. And like Noah Baumbach has really witty humor. Like if you watch interviews with him, like he may be quiet, but like whenever he says something, it's usually really witty, and it's timed perfectly to make you laugh. And it's something that I've noticed that he does really well in all his movies. But he's just like such a simple style of telling a story, and the stories usually have like a very simple message, or a, not a message, or
Theme.
a theme.
Yeah.
Because yeah, because like Marriage Story is about perspective, and another one of his movies that I watched is called While We're Young, which
Yeah.
also has Adam Driver in it. That movie is great, and it's literally just about a man coming to grips that he is growing older.
That's with Ben Stiller, right?
Yeah, Ben Stiller is in it, and he also does an amazing job in the movie. But yeah, some of my other favorite directors. I really since I've gotten older, I really appreciate Martin Scorsese a lot
Yeah.
because Silence is amazing, but also The Irishman is spectacular. It's such a long movie, but it is definitely worth it. It he films and like the scenes in such a way. I think I said this last night whenever or one of the other times that we were talking, but if he hadn't done it, you would have never thought to shoot a scene like it. And his characters are always about like the scum of the earth. Like
Yeah.
his main character is always like a really crappy person, except for in Silence. But like I watched Taxi Driver the other day, and like they're kind of hard to watch because they are so realistic and they take place in the crappiest parts of town and like with the crappiest people, but like it's so enchanting every time I do watch the movie, like one of his movies. I don't know, I really appreciate his movies and his directing style because he just seems like an incredibly smart person too, like if you watch interviews with him. But yeah, um who are your favorite directors?
Um. Okay, I have Spielberg, and the reason I have Spielberg is just because he's made so many iconic movies, and the fact that he changed Hollywood as we know it, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
creating the blockbuster, and there's just so many iconic movies that he's made, and having made so many of them, I feel like he's earned his place as one of the best directors in cinema. I also have Noah Baumbach, and I haven't watched a whole bunch of his movies. I watched the While We're Young and Marriage Story, but the thing that stuck out to me watching those two movies was that the way he has the way he makes or has scenes like choreographed or something. As characters
Mm-hmm.
are talking, they're always moving around and doing something while they're talking. Uh,
And it's almost like a lot of times he's really good at doing one-shot scenes,
yeah,
I've noticed.
yeah, but there's always something going on, and uh, I don't know. I just really like what he does with those scenes where instead of having two people just sitting down and having a conversation, they're actually doing stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
especially in Marriage Story, because there are cases where people are just sitting down and talking. Um, but like when the lady comes to interview Charlie while his son is over at or the new apartment or whatever, and it's like right before he cuts his arm. Um, but he's like working on dinner or something while he's talking with her, and
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Or
there's a whole bunch of instances like that, and I just find it so interesting that scenes play out like that.
I really like the bit whenever he gets to like Scarlett Johansson's like family house or whatever, and he just immediately goes in and starts like eating like a turkey breast or something,
Yeah,
and like he makes himself a sandwich or whatever. I really enjoyed that scene because it's very realistic on like what a son-in-law who is like really close with his mother-in-law would do, I
hmm
feel. But
it,
yeah.
like everything that the characters do in those scenes where they're moving around while they're talking, it's not just that they're doing something else, but it's that what they're doing most of the time actually helps build their character, and I think that is a very good sign of of a good director. So
Hmm.
um, that's why I have him on that list. Another one I have is Christopher Nolan, and
Oh, he makes some great movies.
there's so many good movies: The Prestige, Interstellar, Inception, and the Dark Knight trilogy. He makes a lot of gritty movies, but they're so good, and I really enjoy those films. And then I also have Mel Gibson, and he made Hacksaw Ridge and Braveheart. And not only is he a good actor, but I think he's a good director too. And a fun fact, my mom actually met him in person, and he autographed a copy of The Patriot that we own right now.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So that's my list of favorite directors.
I also really enjoy Ryan Coogler.
Hmm.
He's the he's the guy who directed like Black Panther and the first Creed movie.
Yeah.
Because I just really enjoy like there's this scene in the first Creed movie. It's his first match, and it's literally just a one-shot scene from behind behind Adonis, and it's so intriguing, and you just feel like you're right there in the ring with him, and it's so much fun to watch his movies because he has a very like he moves a lot with the camera, and I really enjoy that about his movies. But because he's kind of like the opposite of Noah Baumbach, because Noah Baumbach is usually very set, like it's set on the tripod, and he might move it,
Yeah.
like he might pan or tilt. But with Ryan Coogler, it's like you're right there in the scene because like it is so like it moves so much and like you don't miss anything. I think that's really refreshing to watch. But yeah, I'm trying to think of some other directors off the top of my head. Jon Favreau, I really like him. Ever like not just Iron Man, but also like Elf. Like Elf is one of those movies that I can only watch once a year at Christmas.
Hmm.
But like watch if you like I've watched that movie so much because there like so many times in school that was like the only Christmas movie that teachers would actually play. And so like I've noticed and like you watch the first Iron Man and like the Mandalorian, he has like a very specific style and he's really good at making people funny. And I don't know, I really enjoy all of his stuff.
Uh-huh. Is there any other questions that you can think of?
Uh, no, not that. Okay, I have one off the top of my head, but like favorite theme for a movie, like music or a song from a movie, like
Oh,
orchestra
okay.
type song.
Ooh, that's a really tough one. There's so many good ones. Um, I'd say maybe uh like the song that like plays in the later Harry Potter movies
Mm-hmm.
where I think it's like the Weasley twins shop or something, but it's like a
Oh yeah.
it's it's a very playful song. Um,
Mm-hmm.
or no, it's in Half Blood Prince when they're doing the Quidditch tryouts. Do you remember the song that plays there?
Yes, yeah, I think I know what you're referring to.
Okay, it's that song. I don't know what it's called. Um, but I do like that. And if not that one, then um,
I always forget how much good music is in Harry Potter.
yeah, there's a
Like
lot.
it always takes me by surprise whenever I watch the movie and then like I hear Hedwig's thing, I'm like, oh crap, like we're watching Harry Potter. It's like I don't know, it's very it's like it does the same function as Howard Shore's Lord of the Rings, where it literally just enthralls you into the world. I love that about
Yeah, if
the
it's
Harry Potter
if
movies.
not the Harry Potter one song that I was talking about, um, then it would be Concerning Hobbits for sure.
Oh, that one is it's so good. It always puts me in a good mood anytime I hear it. But for me, it would have to be I'm split between two. It'd be Gonna Fly Now from the first Rocky.
Yes.
No, like literally, you put that song on, I could ace a math test, and I'm terrible at math. Like you put that song on, I think I could literally do anything because it's so inspiring and intense. Oh my gosh! Like last year during track, when coach would play that, like man, I could feel myself like getting stronger.
Oh yeah.
I love that. I love that song.
Like
But
I remember we were doing like stair laps, and then he put on the song, and then immediate like I was slowing down a whole lot, and then once he put it on, just boom, huge burst of energy. Like I was kind of hunching over while I was running, and then after that song plays, like I straightened my back and I'm booking it. It was great.
hmm Also, my other favorite would have to be the classic Superman thing.
Yeah.
I love that, and it's so inspiring. And like no matter what, whenever I hear it, I immediately think like I always think of Superman like hovering like above the sidewalk or like
Mhm.
of Lois Lane's balcony, and he just lands, which is weird because that's not the music that plays during that scene. But I don't know why, but I just think of Christopher Reeve as Superman hovering somewhere, having just saved someone's life and saying something so nice and polite. It it truly is inspiring every time I hear it. And yeah, it's so like it puts me in such a good mood, like in a weird righteous like good feeling mood. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
It always makes me feel like so good. I don't know why, but
Any other questions that you can think of?
um
What's
what do you
your favorite scene from a movie?
my favorite scene from a movie?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a tough one. uh okay. Man, favorite scenes. Okay, okay. I was not prepared for this. Okay. Uh, Man,
I have to start thinking about it too.
the first one that comes to mind is because it's the one that I've been thinking about a lot. But just the scene in Marriage Story where Scarlett Johansson tries to goes to Adam Driver's house, and they try to talk, and they're like, okay, well, I think we should do it ourselves. We need to, like, no lawyers, no anything, just we need to talk about it. And it just escalates slowly,
Yeah.
and and it gets to the point where they're yelling at each other. And like I remember whenever I was first watching it, I was like angry, but I wanted to cry because I wanted them to just figure it out. And then like Adam Driver says something like, "Oh, I just wish you would die." But then he realizes what he says, and he just crumples to the floor, and
Yeah.
he just starts crying. I was like, "Oh my gosh!" It was. Sometimes I'll think about that scene, and I feel so. That movie is so good at making you feel broken and hopeless. But that's the first one that comes to mind. If you gave me a couple, like, the second one that comes to mind is definitely when Rocky, at the end of the first movie, when the bell rings and the theme swells, and like he stumbles, and like him and Apollo is like, I don't no, there ain't gonna be a rematch. And then
Uh-huh.
just so iconic. He's like, "Yo, Adrian, I did it, and like the music is swelling. She's like, I love you, Rocky. And, like, man, it like tears me up every time,
Yeah.
every time I watch it because it's just so triumphant. But what about you?
Um, Goodness.
It's hard to pin it down to just one, you know?
Yeah. Um, I really like the scene in Rocky 3 when they're at the beach and like Rocky feels like super defeated after losing to Clubber Lang, and then
Mm-hmm.
like he's not giving it his all in training, and so him and Adrian are talking on the beach, and she's trying to figure out why he feels so bummed out, and uh, she finally breaks him, and he says something to the effect of like, it's because I'm afraid, um, and because like he had it all and then he lost it, and he doesn't want to
Mm-hmm.
lose anything else, and that scene is, at least to me, it's very emotional, and I just love the interaction between him and Adrian, and like Sylvester Stallone, he's he's a good actor, but like he's not necessarily the guy that you would think would be really great at doing scenes like that.
Mm-hmm.
But this one time, like you can, like he definitely did a great job acting in this scene. I feel like, and it just connects with me every time I watch it. And I don't think people necessarily think of Rocky for that emotional. Uh, oh no, for that kind of emotional scene, but
Mm-hmm.
I like it a whole lot.
Kind of another one of my favorite scenes is in Cool Hand Luke whenever he hears that his mother has passed away and he goes like because he's like they're in like a little prison camp and he goes to his bunk and I don't know why or how but he just has this guitar and he starts singing and playing the guitar. And at first he starts off very slowly, very solemnly singing this song. I don't know the name of the song or anything, but it's like a very emotional song, and like you can tell that like his emotions are rising because he starts playing faster and he starts singing louder and he's like starting to cry and he just keeps playing this song over and over again, and and then he and then at the very end he quiets his voice down for the last couple lyrics and he just stops and then like it fades to black and it's such a heartbreaking scene and like the first time I watched it I literally like started crying and I was like oh my gosh it's like because like his mom had just died and he just started playing this guitar and I don't know like it hits me every time but
hmm I feel like I need to
yeah
watch that movie.
it's seriously great. It's also had some like really interesting symbolism
hmm
and you wouldn't expect it but uh there's this scene where he eats all of these eggs and then afterwards he just lays on a table but he's in the same position as like Jesus on the cross. I don't know, there's some very interesting symbolism and comparisons which I didn't realize it the first time. I actually watched a review talking about it and there's actually quite a few similarities to the story of Jesus in the movie, which kind of surprised me whenever I first watched it. But it's not it doesn't beat you over the head with it. You're not
Right.
like it's not like Narnia where like you would be a fool if you didn't realize that it was supposed to be like to mirror the story of Jesus. But yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, I have several more favorite scenes now that I've been thinking about it, but
um, do you want to talk about those, or are you done?
uh, I mean, if you want to keep talking about it, I'm okay with. if we just keep the discussion going.
I think we're reaching a good place to stop. So,
Okay.
um, do you want to go ahead and end it, or is there some more questions you want to ask?
Um, what's your favorite Disney movie
Ooh.
or like Pixar movie?
Um, I know you don't like it, but I really love The Lion King.
Oh. I don't know why I didn't think of that whenever I asked that question. I feel really dumb now.
Yeah, Lion King is probably my favorite Disney movie. It's either that or Tarzan. I really like Tarzan too.
Man, I'd thought of what my favorite Disney movie is earlier because I was like, because the last time we live streamed, we were talking about it. Now I feel so dumb because I don't remember it.
Yeah. Well, we talked about Tangled, didn't we? Tangled's a good
Yeah,
one.
we did. Yeah, we talked about Tangled. Um, Honestly, I think Toy Story and Sleeping Beauty are still my favorite. I used to watch those every day whenever I was a little kid, and I think they are still my favorite.
Yeah. Toy Story is really good. Um, Mulan's really good too. I really like
Hmm.
Mulan. Um,
I love Up, but it makes me cry.
yes. Oh my goodness. Up is so good.
And it also does, it kind of did the thing that Marriage Story does, where it tells a really sweet like love story with very but like it does it with little to no dialogue. Like you at the very
And
beginning you have
it's a pretty
them
short
talk.
scene too. Like
Yeah, like
to
you
make us
have
care that quickly and
mhm.
it, it's a great scene.
It's show don't tell. It does
Uh-huh.
that perfectly, and like it's very it's very heartbreaking, but just like him and Russell is just very entertaining to watch.
Mhm.
He's like, "Can I walk you across the street? No. Can I walk you across your lawn? No." I don't know why, but that's like Russell always cracks me up. But I mean, I can't think of any more questions.
All right. So I think we're going to end this podcast here. And again, I'd like to apologize for this being cut into two videos. For some reason, my PlayStation just freaked out and cut the video short. So my apologies for that. Hopefully, the people that were watching the other video came back and watched this for a little bit of time at least. But um, so yeah, that's all. Until next time.
All right.